Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I welcome you all to the panel discussion by Kaggle Days Meetup Delhi NCR on how data science is transforming banking. And with us today, we have a few top industry experts from India in the banking sector. So I just welcome everyone one by one along with the introduction. So first of all, I have Rahul Tripathi. So Rahul sir is currently working as AVP Data Science Lead in Axis Bank. He has 10 plus years of experience in data management, data analytics at organizations like Accenture, Ericsson, etc. He had the opportunity to work in multiple domains like healthcare, HR analytics, banking, and finance. He holds a master's from Bich Pilani. In his free time, he loves to play cricket and badminton. Welcome, Rahul sir.
Thank you so
Then,
much, Ayan. And hi, all.
yeah, and then we have Sachin sir. Sachin sir is currently working in HSBC as AVP Data Science and Analytics for India market. He holds a postgraduate degree from National Institute of Industrial Engineering, Mumbai. He has been working for over 7 years in the banking and financial services industry and holds rich experience across retail banking analytics applications. He has delivered many data science projects under the umbrella of risk marketing, fraud, etc., and successfully implemented creative applications of data and analytics, leading business strategies from data driven actionable insights. Welcome, Sachin sir.
Hi, and thanks for inviting me. Hi, everyone.
Yeah. And then we have Utpal sir. Utpal sir is an eminent data scientist, AI researcher, strategist, and a thought leader with more than 2 decades of industry experience, including as a principal architect in L&T Infotech, IBM, Capgemini, and other MNCs. At the moment, he is head of artificial intelligence at Yes Bank. He is a well-known speaker and author on AI, IoT, as well as Agile and Lean, and has spoken at conferences around the world. His, re- his recent research on machine learning, titled Layered Approximation for Deep Neural Networks, and his books AI for All and AI and Fourth Industrial Revolution, has been appreciated at several conferences, institutions, and universities. Welcome, Utpal sir. And
Thank you.
then we And then we have Koushik sir. Koushik sir is currently the delivery head at HSBC. He completed his engineering graduation from Jadavpur University, Kolkata, and postgraduate diploma in data science from IIIT Bangalore, and possesses nearly 2 decades of experience in developing IT solutions to banking and financial domain problems. He has led large scale product rollouts, transformational and reengineering programs, delivering value proposition for the bank. His expertise is in the payments domain, where he currently leads a strategic mission critical high value payment processing platform. He closely follows technology trends and is pursuing his master's in data science from Liverpool John Moores University. Welcome, Koushik sir.
Hello,
And then we
hello.
and and then we have Naveen sir. Naveen sir is an AI ethicist and a data-driven data science manager with certification in business analytics from Dun and Bradstreet. He has demonstrated history of working in the banking, software, financial technologies, and market research industry, and he is passionate towards providing and understanding business objectives, developing and implementing right analytical and data solutions to business problems. Currently, he is helping corporate teams in providing better banking services to customers by providing with right analytics across different banking products. So I welcome you, Naveen sir.
Yeah,
And
thanks
like
for it.
yeah, and Shubhajit sir, another panelist, would not be able to join in today's session because he's not feeling well. So we just pray for his faster health recovery. Yeah. And now today's session would be moderated by Koushik sir. Over to you, Koushik sir.
Thank you, Ayan, and welcome everybody. A nice Sunday, Saturday evening, morning for all of us. So, like Ayan introduced us, maybe I take the same preference and same sequence of events. So, maybe one of the things that I want to understand from Rahul, if I take that opportunity to see that, how do you see Rahul in terms of in terms of the IT and the banking industry, both within India and within across the world. What are the top investment categories, or rather top of the technological preferences that the banks are looking forward to? If you can provide some insight.
Yeah, thanks, Koushik. Yeah, definitely. See, if I talk about the top industries as of now, consider some of the top brands over here who are investing in this AI and machine learning from last decade and so. So you count these. I mean, it's initiated as like in 2020. Uh, it's in not it's initiated in 2000 by some of the FANG companies, and then it's gradually these AI and data science gradually cooperated in all different industries, whether it's a healthcare, whether it's a banking and finance, whether it's a market research, all those kind of a things. So if I talk about why this is important, because in today's world, every decision is taken by the um, based on the data. So as if you have a very good data, you would able to use those data, leverage those data, and come up with the insights and come up with the actionable item where uh, you can utilize them for business strategies, taking business decisions. So in my opinion, banking, I mean healthcare, in medical field, in services, in market research, the disruption is already there. Okay, but in banking right now, what we are expecting, we are seeing there is a very very large potential to leverage these UI and AI and machine learning uh, to increase the underlying perform processes, whether it's retail banking, whether it's a customer or corporate banking. So you can leverage those in AI and ML over there, kind of a thing. And it's not only like generally there are banking divisions where the credit risk management is taken care of by
Did we lose Rahul, or?
Yeah, probably. Stop.
Okay, okay, no problem. I think Rahul is struggling with some of the connection problem. I hope that I am audible and right to all of you.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
yeah.
audible.
Yeah, good. Okay, no problem. And we'll allow Rahul to join back. However, I think what Rahul was alluding to is mostly, and it's not a new thing for all of us in terms of understanding that how AI and ML are going to be and are already playing an important role. Now, an interesting thing, Sachin, if at all I may ask you, from your experience with HSBC, as to like businesses usually expect, a tangible output from any of the investment that they make. So
Yeah.
what is the journey that you see for data science, based investment, and the real values that they really get, and how do business perceive them in the current context of banking? If at all, from your experience, you can help us.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for that question. Actually, let me answer this in a very structured manner. I will say that let us take a two groups. So there are banks which are now, going already matured in these systems, basic data analytics and sciences. And another I'll take as they are the developing bank in terms of data science capabilities. So if you see the basic ones, so every developed bank, they have a basic data science and data analytics system, which comprises of a very intelligent CRM, or we say the campaign system. And another one would be the human capital that we say on the data scientist and the data analytics manager that we have. And also another one is the dashboarding system and the data marts and tools like SAS, Python, and other techniques and tools that they have incorporated in. So most of the developed banks, they have already incorporated these stuffs, and they are leveraging these very crucial way and generating insights from the huge data that you used to store, that all the banks used to store, and now they are leveraging that data into campaigns, into real time analytics, also getting more insight to dig deeper into the customer profiles. Now they know their customers a lot. 360 view, they know about their customers, which was not possible before. we had the data previously, but we were not able to use that properly. So that's the case with the developed bank. They have already have these systems in place, and the developing bank, they are still struggling with maintaining the data. Their investment lies in basically to structure the data first, because and this is not their this is not the problem, I will say. This is not the issue with them, because banks were not designed in that way to, which will use data science or data analytics in future. Because banks basic functionality is to the transaction that we do day on day to day basis with the customers. So on the contrary, if you see fintechs, fintechs, they have developed technology first, and then they have tied with the banks. But for the banks it's opposite. So they are banking institution first, then they are moving into technology. So that's why this investment makes a very crucial thing to prosper actually. That's why developed bank, they have already got the system in place. Developing banks, like a very small cooperative banks, they are getting into place by using uh, these investments in data marts and tools. Where in terms of the matured banks also, they are struggling with is the next point is the advanced analytics. So when I say advanced analytics, is basically comprises of the interconnected systems, cloud platforms, or even more complex or very easy to access databases. For example, MongoDB. Even I will say for HSBC, last year I guess they have thought of moving some of the data for efficient analytics, and the data moving into MongoDB for quick access, and quitting or just dating relational databases. And more than 50 relational databases has been now, I guess, in we are thinking to scrap that, moving into MongoDB type of databases. So these are the advanced investment that banks has to make. They are already matured, and the developing bank, they still have to invest in more good CRM system, dashboarding system, data marts for quick access, and campaigning systems like that. Okay.
Thanks, Sachin. Okay, so I think taking as rightly said, that the investments, it's it two ways for the banks, it's banking and then technology, while the other way for the fintech one. That's a very nice perspective. And taking that cue, and maybe if I go on to Naveen, said the technological advances. What are the technological and infrastructure advancements that banks are uh, using or maybe looking forward to adopt in churning out the knowledge from data? As per you, what you are using in your current, or maybe what you see as a trend, if at all you can provide some insight, maybe.
Maybe like blockchain, and blockchain is one technology where we can like definitely use it for providing better secured services to the banking customers. And I see blockchain top up there, and also other technologies well, like helping banking team to provide better solution to the customers.
Mhm. Okay. Thank you, Naveen, and coming to the banking context, it's a highly regulated environment. So with the rich experience, Utpal, that you carry, and you have been eminent in terms of writing and as well as speaking. So how do you see the regulators and auditors view in terms of the way that we are proposing or we are churning out the data analytics for banking context in that case? And do you see them to be supportive of these all those initiatives, or are there some space where we can be, or they can be even more supportive of this entire investment and the supporting of this technology usage? Maybe something that you can help us understand.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for this. And can you hear me, by the way?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, yeah. I'll start with your last question, okay, and then probably I will move into the regulators one. And yes, the other panelists had brilliantly addressed that question. And so essentially, what I can see is like whoever they are in a data intensive business, Okay, so may it be bank or any other enterprise. So they will have to adopt data science or AI kind of things, machine learning kind of things today or tomorrow. Okay, it is a compulsion, so it's not a choice today. Okay, because if they want to remain in the industry with this huge competition, then definitely they will have to adopt this kind of technology. And who are not into data intensive business, probably they will have some time. Okay, but they will also have to come to the same arena today or tomorrow. So that is for sure. Now, as one of the panelists has rightly mentioned, see, till now the banks are still focusing on like building their data warehouse system, building data lakes, data marts, then what do you call, running some analytics on top of that, and probably a little bit of work here and there, some machine learning models, some kind of NLP things that are basically put into the channels, which are basically the customer-facing interfaces. Okay. But apart from that, because see, I mean, banks want to not only, I mean, one part is definitely bringing that customer experience, bringing that delightment of the customer. But on the other hand, there are things like you can essentially what do you call, smoothen your internal processes. Okay, where also this technologies like AI, RPA, this kind of technologies can definitely help. So apart from this analytics part and the advanced analytics, which is basically putting some kind of a predictive and prescriptive kind of things there, using some kind of machine learning models into that. Apart from that, also there is a huge opportunity, okay, and use cases like in computer vision. Very few banks are working on computer vision use cases. Okay,
Yeah.
video analytics, very few banks, or speech analytics, very few banks are. But there are many use cases. Some of them are probably hidden use cases, but there are many use cases which I think bank and financial institutions are now slowly and gradually will be concentrated on that. So actually, I have been talking to a couple of banks in India and also some of the good Asian banks. Okay, so they're into a top-notch kind of a category. They are also still into the arena of analytics. Okay, so analytics is just one part of the story. Okay, but there is a bigger chunk of the things, and also coming to like how you can. So probably take my core banking system, or my corporate banking system, or my this thing. So these are serving me for last 15 years, and these are we are quite happy with this kind of system. We don't want to replace it, but there are still a lot of opportunities wherein I can bring in that intelligence or the experience or that cognitive element into those systems. Okay, by embedding some of the machine learning models, some of the deep learning models into those systems. So I think that is going to be the trend in coming few years, and already banks have started exploring those kind of things. So, and now coming to the second part of your question, like how regulators are kind of thing. So historically, if you look at, okay, banking and finance industry is reasonably good at adopting any kind of new technologies. Okay, so they are one of the good adapter, or they are a good implementer or risk taker, you can say, because when you try to implement some new thing, definitely you take some amount of risk, right? So traditionally, if you look at banking and finance industry is good at that. Okay, and you go back to the history, you will get a lot of examples of that. And this is not only because of the banks. Okay, so we need to understand that it is also the contribution or the open-mindedness of the regulators, that they have allowed time to time, okay, the different technologies to be adopted in this industry, banking industry. So definitely it is an evolving field. Okay, even the regulators are maturing, because another very important thing is, probably I have written it in some of my articles and in my book also. See, there is, so the regulators today, it is an honest thing, okay, and it is not like I'm like talking against somebody or something like that. Not like that, but this is the reality that regulators are today are way behind, okay, than the speed at which the technology is changing or evolving, right? And it is a fact, and it is not only in India. Okay, you go to any country, any bank, it is a fact. And unfortunately, there are no platforms today, okay, wherein the regulators and these technology guys can actually meet, okay, and get some kind of a what do you call? Okay, so there are very few actually formal platforms wherein regulators and this IT guys can meet. And this and basically, if you look at the innovation today, technological innovation is in the hand of some private companies, right? So Google, Microsoft, I don't mind to take names of those, right? And it is not in the hand of any government or any kind of other this thing. It is completely on the hand of some private organization, right? And these regulators are not getting the scope or the platform to sit with the technology guys to at least get at per some kind of a what do you call understanding or kind of thing. And that's the reason probably the adoption is little bit slow, but I'm quite hopeful that going forward, this adoption is going to be more and more, and regulators are also getting more and more adaptive today, and they listen to the technology. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if I may add to
Thanks,
what
Utpal. I think. Sorry.
said,
Yeah, please. Yeah, please, Naveen.
yeah. So as he was pointing out that the role regulator plays in technology implementation in the banking sector, so there is definitely that gap between what the technology industry is putting forward with new and updated technologies and what the regulator has the knowledge about it and what the banking teams implement it from their own end. And when the regulator suggests it to the banks, and as my other panelists might, if they might know, banking is a heavy regulated industry. So some of the many of the regular things that we do is like regulatory reporting. Yeah, regulatory reporting where like we the I mean kind of AML alerts that we generate and that we send it to the financial task force or the regulator. So there we definitely use the AI and machine learning, and like we know, so this sorry, so I mean the regulator is definitely I not said very far, but very I mean like below the latest technology updates. But
Yeah, but Naveen, just wanted to add one more point there about the regulators only, because I think, as Utpal sir rightly said, because regulators are far behind what the other companies are doing in data scientists and other stuff. Even banks are way more ahead than regulators now. So if you see, any day banks have to report to regulators, right? So it's better to have a governance inside the bank only rather than relying on the regulator to later on find out some discrepancies in the stuff that we are doing in data sciences and then getting into trouble. So if you see, in terms of the data privacy and the PI information that we are using in building models, I'll just give an example. For example, in my organization, suppose we have a strict government ethics and big data ethics workshops continuously happening, where we are encouraged, not to use any personal information while building models. For example, gender. We don't have to, use gender to build the model. We don't have to use race or ethnicity in the model, whether the particular ethnicity is behaving towards any product, what kind of behavior it is. So these are strictly has to be prohibited because later on, if something comes up as a PI information is leaked and then regulators coming in, so it's better to have a quick governance or very good governance check at the bank side only rather than relying on the regulators. And the very good example, if you all of you guys have known that about Amazon, AI recruiter. Amazon AI recruiter, I guess, few years ago, that AI model, it was biased towards the women. It was not shortlisting women for particular profile. So that government has to be there, right? Because it's not the correct way. So because that's how the machine will learn and then act on it, but without the regulation. So I think instead of relying on the regulator to come up with the pace with the banks or the other tech giants, we need to have good data governance as in parallel with the data modeling and data sciences usages in the banks directly.
Thanks. Yeah, I think that's a pretty useful insight, and you rightly said, all of us that regulators are fast catching up now. It is currently the situation
Yeah,
is
even
not like
RBI
that
now tweeting about
regulators
they are hiring data
are
scientists.
way behind. Regulators are much more now proactive about seen as a is that technology is the core of the bank, and that's where regulators are as well as
I think he's breaking. He got disconnected.
Yeah, yeah, I think some problem.
Yeah,
Let's
maybe,
wait
sir.
for
Yeah, he's facing certain issues, maybe.
connectivity problem.
So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. While he joins in, so I will just pick it up from there. Like usually, like apart from this, we were talking about investments of certain banking industry or certain banking companies into AI and stuffs like that, and we also discussed about the like regulators' role kind of stuff. And as we go ahead, or we have been investing in technologies like AI for certain times, but what type of like what has been the journey of data science based investment in banking? Like let's say I talk about any certain use case, like it's a chatbot or stuff. So any like banking has been utilizing AI, machine learning, stuff like that. But any specific focus areas which let's say the attendees can learn, or can attendees are more interested towards? Let's say sometimes folks are more interested towards NLP. So maybe you guys have saw that how
Yeah, so
NLP.
let me take that question from you, and I'll give you a very good example that we have used, and also it is just to highlight this special, point for this use case, and it was a zero cost project that I'll say, because what we have done is if the viewer that that watching this meetup, I'll just like to just tell them that if they can learn about the rasa architecture of the NLP and NLU that people are using. So if you see that rasa architecture is very quite a very usable and very user friendly architecture of NLP that rasa came up with. And what we had done is we had just integrated that rasa architecture with a simple chatbot on Facebook Messenger. So if any HSBC customers comes to the messenger page and he wants to know about the credit card offers, so what generally people do that there are thousands of offers going on credit cards, and nobody cares about to go on website or check what kind of offers and what kind of offers are there. And also while you are on a restaurant, on while going to the restaurant or a midway, you will not search huge number of offers on the website on other pages of the bank. So what we have done is we have just pulled all the information directly to the fingertips of the customers on the Facebook Messenger, where directly you can write to the messenger bot and just chat with him to get the relevant offers near your areas as per your desired cuisine, and also about the budget and what kind of and the live location also it takes in, and gives out the proper offer that going on HSBC cards. So it's not about HSBC only, because most of the banks have also done that. I don't know about the architecture they are working on, but the use case or the investment, for example, NLU that I'm talking about, though the investment is not so much, it is a zero cost thing. But the use case, if you see the NLP use case and the integration that happened on the cloud, I think that's what I said in my first question about the investment that major banks are doing into the cloud system in the AWS or Heroku or somewhere else. But it is a very basic instruction which I guess few of the Indian giants also having in their technological stack, and they can integrate it, and then customer can interact with that and have a very good experience. So that's matter, I think.
So guys. Sorry, am I back?
Yes, Sachin, and I also want to add for all the viewers that it's not only NLU. What you need to think is that solving the real-time problem. Okay, what the problem comes, what is the best solution for that? So if I give you an example, uh, what happened is that recently joined the Axis Bank. So there is a use case come where what happened, we need to work on certain kind of a things which uh, there is a matrix where it comes that okay, it's taking. I mean, there is a lot of rescheduling happening with video or KYC validation kind of a thing, right? So this is a one use case. So how you can go ahead and do it? So we identify the problems, why there is a there is a mismatch or there is a delay from this process to be completed, and it's actually adding a frustration to the customers. So consider this a situation that for doing a video KYC, what is the essential part? So customer needs to be available, and then a person in a branch who is the employee of that particular bank needs to be available over there, and then they go on a kind of a video chat and then do all these kind of a validations. So this is a perfect example where you can use a computer vision. You can use a computer vision to automate this process. Okay, it's not 100% you can do the automation, but yeah, you can able to restrict the traffic by 70% by using this AI, cutting edge AI technology like a computer vision to do that. Similarly, let's suppose it's not about always customer facing. Okay, so if I give you example, let's suppose you have something like you have a core system, banking core system, and there are multiple fields which further, I mean, once a person is actually writing or typing in that particular field values of let's suppose a form, there is a form filled by the employee. Okay, he actually don't understand that okay, how this can be useful to the businesses, different businesses, how this data would be leveraged by different business intelligence teams to get value out of it. Okay, so you can go ahead and what you can do, you can try to build a system which standardize those things, which help the source system or person who is filling the form to make the data more standardized, uh, so that our data which is residing in our database become more standardized, and it will ultimately or eventually add a value to the whole business environment.
I
One or
think Koushik is
Yeah,
back.
two,
thanks. Sir,
yeah,
I'm back.
the
Sorry.
two
Yeah.
things that I would like to mention here is, so if you, I mean, go to the olden days of loan processing, you might have like how when a person applies a loan, and by the day when he actually receives money in his account, so the number of days used to be like more like 5 to 10 days or even up to 15 days, 20 days. Now you
Mhm.
have days where like we are getting the loan, pre-approved loans, pre-qualified loans, so we are waiting the money within like 5 to 10 minutes of applying online. If you are already a customer of that bank, so all the pre-data analysis that we do, and that we like better able to understand customer, and then with the recent different banking products that people use, so we are getting to know the customer completely. Like customer 360 view is what we try to understand, and say, let us say if a person is already having as a banking product, is using a banking product with a particular bank, and when he applies for any other product, and he doesn't need to fill all the details, only the details which are required for that specific product we take as extra from the person, and we already the information that we have from, we have it pre-filled. So it lessens the burdens on the people who are actually providing the service, and also it's very useful to the person also, because it's already there. He just need to provide only the required information, not all the information all the time again. So it's
Yeah, I think
time reduced.
so. I think Naveen has a very good. It came into my mind this use case. So and it is not only for banking. Okay. So I
Yes.
think any enterprise, because enterprise is to be document intensive, and those documents are mostly unstructured documents. Okay. So now, because see, probably we have done a lot of things with structured data. Okay, whatever can be done till now, but now it's the time to do something with the unstructured data. So I'll give you one example, and I was fortunate to work on one of these projects in my previous organization. and as I told you, like it is for any enterprise. So the documents are coming from, so it is machine generated documents. Some are PDF, some are some kind of JPEG files, some are what do you call, these are some machine generated slips and all. So mostly, like if a person is hospitalized, so it is for insurance, specifically for a insurance this thing. If a person is hospitalized, so today what happens? Okay, the hospital used to get all the bills, like your room bill, medicine bill, all kind of reports, okay, diagnostic reports. So maybe it MRI report, your CT scan report, blood report, this report, that report, your all kind of bills, all kind of surgical cost and all those things. They will bundle it up in a zip file and then they will upload it to a cloud drive to the insurance company. Okay, and now in the insurance company, so there is to be a backend team sitting, right? And these people are not in hundreds, actually thousands in sometimes. Okay, so some of the backend teams are even not sitting in India, so they are sitting in Philippines and all, because again their labor cost is much more cheaper than India. And these people are eyeballing through all those documents, okay, and with a checklist and finding out different parameters. And ultimately, he or she generates a small report, and that report finally goes to a doctor, because nowadays every insurance company has a doctor, okay, of their own, and he will approve it, and then only this insurance claim is approved, and the hospital actually gets the money from the insurance company. Okay, so you probably have got a what do you call cashless, so you do not have to worry about that. But this time, the lead time is approximately 1 month to 1.5 months for the hospital to get money from the insurance company. So now, with cognitive data processing system, and this is a very interesting use case, and almost all the verticals of artificial intelligence that we see has been used in this kind of this thing. So now what is happening is you get all the documents, okay, probably you get it from an upstream system, and it comes, you do OCR for whatever PDF documents are there, or whatever your image documents are there. And after doing that, there is a pre-processing layer where you do all your NLP work, okay, to just get the actual data out of that, the clean data out of that. And then as per the, see, this is a bit tricky kind of a system, wherein basically you cannot apply same rule to all the documents, right? So you need to run a clustering mechanism to cluster the documents into different groups, okay? And then you apply different kind of extraction mechanisms on the specific clusters, okay? And here, probably you are using machine learning, definitely sometimes you are using some models like LSTM, okay? Because there are long short-term memory, which is a variant of recurrent neural network. Because in many cases, some documents, they will have information in the footnote, or it is a PDF document, there is a table into that PDF document, okay? And in the table, the information is there. How to get those documents out? So you need to actually train the LSTM with lot many those kind of things, so that it can understand the patterns and it can actually identify those. And then you do that. So once you do that, probably initially you will get more, hardly 70 to 72%, maximum 75% of accuracy. But the beauty is that if you put that kind of a system and keep on retaining the model, okay, you will see in couple of months that model accuracy has got beyond 80%. And you can actually reduce the workforce, okay, which is 1,000 people. So, okay, 30%, 40%, 50%, up to 60% also. So now most of the things can be done with the system itself. It is only the leads, okay, who are looking at, so that there is no error into that, the report, and then it goes to the doctor. So these are some of the use cases I think now people are exploring it. These are brilliant use cases, okay, apart from the customer facing channels and all those things. So definitely conversational AI is very, very hot, okay, and these giants are also investing a lot. And I have heard some people telling that even in the banking system also, the conversational banking is going to take over all other forms of banking. Okay, so it is conversational banking, it will be, whether it is voice or whether it is chatbot or WhatsApp banking or whatever. People are not going to use any other form of banking. So let's see, hopefully, those things will definitely come, and definitely we are expecting a good time.
Yeah, thanks, Utpal, and it was quite an interesting. I dropped off in between. Apologies for that, but I joined back. Now, and taking this question a little bit further, maybe just one step, is that are there, I mean, and this is an open question to all of you, is that whoever can pitch in from your experiences, uh, which all the areas in banking, if at all there are any, which we can say that are much matured now in terms of using data science, and they are very well using data science for their benefit, and has been really turning out good value. And I think we already touched upon that. What are the areas, potential areas? But I think Utpal gave a very good example about potential area. But maybe let me ask that: are there any areas which, from your experience, which you have worked on, or which you are now working on, where it is well matured, I would say, in terms of using data science for their work life?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Like one specific example I can give is like call center banking. So, I mean, even the other panelists might agree, the cost that as a banks we accrue, because the number of calls that we get from the customers is huge, and per cost call is also huge. So we always try to reduce it as much as possible, and that's where these chatbots and all, we analyze all the customer calls previously and what are the customer needs that may come up in future, and we try to include those in the all the menus that people dial when they call up. So, and reducing the actual talk time that customers might actually talk with the customer care executive. So we analyze all his previous calls, previous needs, and then try to reduce, estimate as much as possible what his needs might be in future, and include that in the regular process of the getting to talk with the customer care people, and like lessen burden on the customer itself as well as the bank itself. And we see a lot of calls reduced, and it has a huge financial impact also on the banks. A lot of financial money has been reduced because of how we have utilized this analyzing the customer care calls data previously.
And even in that particular use case, there is a huge opportunity to identify the cross-sell and upsell opportunities also. So
Yes,
when
yes.
you do the sentiment analysis and topic modeling kind of a thing, and then do a lot of NLP things to understand whether the discussions has gone into right direction or into some kind of argument kind of a thing. But at the same time, you can also identify if there are any cross-sell or upsell opportunities within that conversation. So that is
Yes.
also a very brilliant use case. And another
And
thing I would like to mention, very interesting, one of the startups has come up to me with that kind of a solution. Although that solution I see is not that mature at that point. It is on the non-performing assets. Okay, so like they identify all the non-performing assets. Okay, and it is not only identification. Okay, I mean this is all AI machine learning based, and a lot of NLP also used. They also suggest, okay, like how you can improve those non-performing assets, or what are the things that you need to do basically to get rid of some of the non-performing assets. Okay, and which is a very good example, and which is going to be a very cost-saving kind of a project for any banks and any these things. So people are doing those kind of stuff. This is a startup
And
actually.
yeah, actually, just wanted to take this conversation to the Kaushik's real question actually. So, what are the things that are actually matured, and what we are seeing that they are going to be matured in the next stage? So just wanted to give a little bit of structure on this. So, if we see, I'm just talking to all the viewers and panelists, if we can discuss more about the mature and the next stage matured techniques and other stuff we are doing in the banking. For example, let's say an example of customer segmentation. Okay, so right now, like a mature thing that already every bank has done now, 360 view of customers. Now bank knows their customer very well. So for example, I'll give you the traveler foodie. Now this segment, everyone bank knows that this customer is a traveler foodie customer. So that's how I don't prefer to give them a credit card having Indian Oil points, right? Indian Oil credits. So this customer is a traveler and a foodie. So a better offer for a credit card for this customer would be a lounge access, maybe a frequent lounge access that would be free all over India and international. So this is the basic segmentation and offer collaboration that we can do, or connection we can do, that bank has already matured. What should be the next thing that we can do and we can mature more in this term, on this kind of customer segmentation, would be a real time thing. So suppose I am at the airport and doing some transactions, and at the same day in the evening I am getting that the same kind of very beautiful and other good lucrative offers on my card only nearby. And on the same day, I'm not talking about the next day or the next month, where we extract all the data on a monthly basis, we run some algorithm, we give output, and when we're doing that, we don't want to wait, but we want to do it on a real time within a day or within some few minutes. So that's the next stage that we are going to mature, and that's where the investment in data science is required for maybe in a real-time cloud platform. And banks are most of the banks are moving also. So that's a basic example. For example, take an example of business insights that we generate on the day-to-day basis. For example, customer upgrades, or maybe wealth customers, they are doing they are finding they want to do some investment on mutual funds, but now they don't know what should be the next fund. So the techniques based on collaborative filtering or maybe content-based filtering, can we do that for an investment branch of the bank? The basic mature thing that bank has already done on the next best offer, but now how to match the risk assessment of that customer to the offer, and also taking the Utpal rightly said about the NPAs, considering that risk as also, and also the customer lifetime value together, is stitching all these lenses together and getting a single view of the customer, and we can offer something to them. This is the next stage of the maturity where we see these basic insight or basic propensity models to be collaborating with the risk models and customer segmentation at the same time. Second thing, on the risk side, I wanted to highlight to all of you that about credit risk scoring, which has been into place for many years. So I guess all of us in the risk management side have once read about the Naeem Siddiqui book. So Mr. Naeem Siddiqui has written a very nice book on credit scoring, which has been a bible for all the credit scoring process. But the next stage comes when we have the data for all the internal behavior and the external payments behavior from the other loans or assets that customer has. But we don't have data other than that. For example, if you see the stats in US and India as well, millions of the customers, they don't have credit history now. So on the credit scoring part, the banks have already matured. They have a very beautiful and robust system that recognizes this customer is a risky customer, or that is going to be default in within coming 12 months or 6 months. That's okay. That's already got matured. But now the next big thing lies in the alternate data, what I say, because not every customer will have the credit history. So, for example, let me give an example around for US. I was reading a couple of days a report about 26 million customer in US. They don't have credit history. Okay, so how do we lend to them? How economy will grow without lending? How do we source some assets to them? How can we give credit cards to them, or basic early salary loan we can give? So there has to be something substantial to assess them, to underwrite them, what we can do. So I think there lies a maturity on the alternate data, where huge startups and fintechs are leveraging this technology. For example, if I can get some payment behavior of your electricity bill, or maybe your phone bill, maybe what is the spending purchase power on e-commerce website. So that's how the collaborations are also happening with the other industries. For example, telecom industry, travel industry, how the customer is a frequent traveler, what is the average amount of money he spends in a year to travel somewhere. So that's how we can assess the spending power of the customer. And if that spending power exists, then also the customer would not be a very bad customer for us to lend something, or maybe a basic to just generate the credit history for that customer. So that's the other side of the credit risk scoring for alternate data that I wanted to talk about. So credit. So to summarize, frequently, like customer segmentation, we have already excelled it. We have to go to the real time thing. Risk scoring process, we already excelled for over years now. Now we have to move to alternate data, because we have to lend more to the hidden opportunities of the customer. So these are some processes in the banking that we are still, have to, get matured in that. And also, panelists talk about the computer vision. So I still, Utpal sir rightly said about very few of the banks, they are trying the POCs or proof of concept in computer vision. But again, the infrastructure and the computational power required is very much. And then when we go with that, budget to the higher management side, and we see the pretty much, down phases. So that's also the case, that the budget has to be approved from the higher management side. So they also must see the value, for reducing workforces by the use of computer vision, and how much accuracy and the regulation point of view that brings to the table. So that's how I think we have to get more matured in terms of banking, and something we have already matured. That's a very good point in the banking sector, I think. Thank you.
Yeah, so panelists here actually, nailed it. They talk about all these things pinpointly. Only thing just I want to add over here is that, see, maturity comes, but we always needs to be aware that what technologies are coming, what new technologies are coming, and how we can go ahead and leverage them to improve further. Okay, so risk system is there, basis, right? But if you see the risks, the old risk systems are there, which actually takes the credit history and other aspects and other features to whether identify whether this is a risk or this is not a risk kind of a thing. But consider a knowledge graph, or consider a graph database, which gives you a much more advanced concepts or advanced way of looking a particular transaction or particular customer. So we need to be aware about the opportunities, but also we need to be very much familiar with the technologies, how we can go ahead and leverage it.
Yeah, apart from that, also what both my previous speakers have told. So, many people doesn't have any kind of credit history or any kind of rating and kind of. So now that's why the behavioral analytics is actually taking the actual this thing. So in China, probably all of you have heard. So they have got those kind of systems wherein they don't require any of your documents, neither anything. Everything coming from your mobile phone. So they consider around 200 odd data points, okay, and your behavior, and on the basis of them that they can give you different kind of financial aids or loans kind of thing. So that is also an area which is going to be very hot. Like, I mean, study the behavior of the person. It's not about his credibility in terms of his live events or what he do on or his transactions and all those things. Okay, his behavior. So understand his behavior and do analytics on top of them, and then decide. I mean, whether he's eligible for giving any kind of financial aid or not.
Yeah, I think that and pretty decent discussion about, and thanks for making it lively. I will be very honest with that. So
I'm
good perspective across.
Kaushik, Kaushik, 1 second before we conclude on that
Sure.
specific point. It's not like using the latest technologies or a computer vision or anything else, but what actually matters, and my other panelists would also agree, is what sort of business value bring to the bank using those technology is what actually matters to the bank. And that's where even like simple technologies like
I think we have
Sorry.
lost him. We have lost him.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So, so I think it's getting common across all of us. Not a problem. Yeah. Okay. So I maybe just if at all I further this discussion a little bit more, and I'll be requesting an honest opinion from, because you are all industry practitioners. Now, how do you see currently banks' appetite to really experiment things? Because I think the data science world is, though it is not a new thing, but with the advent of technology and open access to technology, it has gained so much of significance in last 2 decades. How do you see, what are your practical experiences in terms of bank experimenting with these data science technologies or any other technologies in really deriving the value? Are banks very cautious, or they are much ahead now, with the fintechs coming into their space as well? So what are your views into that?
So shall I take this question? Okay. So I'll
Yeah,
probably
please.
complete in 1 minute. So again, it depends on. I mean, it varies from organization to organization. The risk-taking ability or the appetite of doing experiment and kind of R&D. Because see, this is an evolving field. Almost every day things are changing. So you need to give some scope of doing R&D there. So if you say you can run a data science project exactly the same way a traditional Java or a .NET project is running, it is not at all possible. Okay, it is not possible. So that scope, I think today the management has also understood that we need to give some scope of experimentation. Some risk is there. Okay, the model that we built, probably it will work, but it will not work up to that efficiency that we can put it onto production, right? So that risk has to we have to do. So that actually I mean, now I think the management has started understanding, the industry has started understanding, and the good sign is that, I mean, the adoption on the adoption point, I'll say the good point is that till now, bank has been completely relying on their vendors or partners to give the delivery of all these news and kind of things, right? Because they feel it is safe, it is on their head. You give me the final product. Okay, that's the thing. But now the trend is changing. Every bank is having their own data science team. Every bank is hiring PhDs. Okay, and all those things. So that is the good sign. The banks are also now ready to take that kind of a risk and do that kind of experimentation.
Yeah, and another thing, Koushik, I wanted to highlight because most of the viewers are also data science enthusiasts, or maybe a beginner or budding, we'll see the future data scientists here. So I wanted to highlight about the two things that are actually into very much what we can say a very much uh, efficient way of doing of machine learning is the ML DevOps that's new coming is the what we can say the ML Ops they call it, because it's a machine learning plus DevOps, it comes as a ML DevOps, and another is the AI cloud. So these two technology stack technology in the stack, what we can say, are the major things that the beginners or the budding engineers has to they have to keep this sink in, because right now we used to do is what we used to do is that we extract the data, we build the model, we use the model, mostly in Excel files or maybe normal, the basic coding structure that happens in basic software, like for example SAS or Python. But we were not encouraged to do so in the AI cloud directly, where we use directly using AWS or maybe SageMaker or Data Reports are a very big platform that uses directly building models within a minute, but also how to deploy them and how we can pack them into a customer or a user friendly basis. Because right now what we have only thing is that we have a model outputs why we can use directly at the backend, but there is no wrapping of those model in a very user friendly way. That's where the DevOps came in and the UI UX team comes in. So data science is not only about building models right now, but also we have to wrap them into a user friendly way so that we can relationship managers at the front end in the banks. I'm talking about the retail banking system now, because the basic function of the bank, as I already said, that is a transaction. They have to face the customer on day-to-day basis. So until unless you're using very big models, for example, doing XGBoost, random forest in the backend, I don't think the customer really care about it, right? They want to know they want to experience that thing, and also the relationship managers at the front end, we have to make their life easier. So that's how, if we if the viewers are beginners and they are seeing the good area of opportunity in terms of the engineering side, data engineering side, I think I should encourage them to learn more about the cloud computing part on the data analytics side, and also about the DevOps in terms of machine learning. So that will be the narrative, because to be frank, guys, I think, and all of my fellow colleagues are also seeing that building models is now are now not a very big challenging task right now, because everything is automated, and very various other tools have come in where we can drag and drop the data and models will be built in few minutes. I'll give an example also. If we can search about the data robot and AWS SageMaker, SAS eMiner, there are so many products available where you can just click and build the model. But why we are building a model and how to use that model, how to present that model, in a way that we can actually express, or we can leverage that model and bring some profitability to the bank. That's the major part, and without IT and without DevOps or operations, we cannot do it. And if you can see, and if you can read about some stats also, around 60 to 70% of the banking executive, they say that AI cloud and DevOps continue to be the global banking transformation in the coming 5 years. So if you see, there are two things very important I see that personally is the DevOps and the for banking transformation, the cloud computing for ML, and other is the data engineering part. That's a very important. If viewers are listening this talk from all the panelists, so I think I request them to explore these areas as well. Not building models is the life of the data science or data scientist. There are so many things to do.
Absolutely. I just wanted to add one thing, and which is, I mean, everything is put by panelists. Uh, See, for us, for a data scientist or a person who is working in the field of a data analytics, For us, the customer is not only the actual customer of the bank, but also a person who is there at a front seat, who is handling the customer. Okay. And if we build some solutions and environment, that the information that is available to that front desk person is fast, and very fast and very reliable information, that play a very vital role in actually winning the client and winning the customer then and there itself. I give you
Yeah.
example. Instead of writing what you prefer, opening Excel, looking at what is the product ID and what is different kind of a benefits, or just going to a particular web page and write the product, and in front of that you can all valuable things, value add things, the price along with the coverage, plan coverage, if that appears in front of you. So think as that you, for the end customer you are building, but for you the end customer is not only the customer but also the front desk operator. Okay. So that's very important to think on that.
Yeah. So
Sure.
I can give a quick example for this wrapping up thing, a model. So I have worked on a project which where we what we were doing, that we have to retain the customer. So not every customer is a profitable customer, and not every profitable customer can stay with the bank. We have to keep intact. We keep the engagement live with that customer, right? So to finding out that correct customer, whether the customer is profitable or not, and retaining them was not an easy task before the data come in, because we used to try, to retain all the customer as much as possible, and we think that the more number of the customer will be there in the bank, and the profitably will be increased linearly with that. But I don't think so that is happening right now, because of the data now have come in and the data pipelines are now is in place. What we were trying to do is that we have to find out the risk adjusted value of that customer. So whether the customer is actually profitable by while adjusting the risk for the bank. And we see that once we generated all the score, for example, this customer, for example, customer X is now have a score of 50 out of 100. So that is a 50% risk, suppose. And now we have generated a cutoff that any customer below 50% of the risk, we will not retain that customer. If the customer wants to be with us, it's okay. Other thing, that if that customer comes to us and says that, boss, you have charged me with these fees, and also I don't want credit card, which is a chargeable credit card, and I don't want to pay the fees for credit card as well. So do we retain that customer? So previously, I think we used to retain all the customers, that we do so that we cannot lose that customer. But now we see that the customer is not profitable, and he also asking for refund of the fees and other stuff. So we can see that this customer is not that much giving value to the bank. So we can see some other other way of handling that customer. So now the model is in place, we have that risk of the customer, but how to send these insight to the front line or the customer contact center, these to all the associates present there who are actually handling the customer. So that's how, where operations teams are required, where we operations and IT are required, especially because IT team, they will be responsible to taking all the score right away from the system to the customer center contact system, because that system is again a very different system, because in banking I think there are n number of systems present, and talking to each system is a very difficult task right now all banks are facing. So core banking is a different system, card system is a different system, now data marts are very different, customer service center have a different system. So how to integrate that model to that system where customer representative directly see when a customer calls, suppose customer X called to the customer care. So we can quickly populate all the relevant information of the customer right on the screen of the associate, and then associate can talk to that customer in a rightful way, and we assure that mis-selling is not happening, and also we assure that the customer is a risky customer, so that we don't end up selling unsecured product to them right there, and we don't so that we can avoid making any false promises, or maybe making any promises that we cannot deliver. So that a customer 360 view at the associate level in the system has to be there. So that's a very big part. Not only building model will help them. So that's how I see that we have to wrap that thing into a product, and that's how the product analytics is required for the banks also. And few of the startups are also coming in, because I already told you, because bank may not have a capacity to develop everything in house, right? So that's where we need fintechs also, and other development startup. There we can help all the banks to build this and take it to the production stage.
Thank you. I think what I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, just like to add one point here. Like, it's one thing having all the analytics done, and it's just I mean, not having this right analytics, right customer data with the actual relationship managers or the actual front end people who actually deal with the customers. So I mean the other thing that we should rightly do is like put all these out analytics within the reach of the relationship managers or all the front end people who actually deal with these customers, and then it would be a right use of this analytics. We can all have all
Yeah.
the
So
analytics within the data marts, within the in all the data systems we have, but it's not of use if you don't have that right people making use of the data.
Yeah, so
Yeah, so
like we can
nowadays,
circle back to
nowadays,
the sorry,
what happens,
sorry, sorry.
like, so that's the reason, basically, what I mean, the other panelists were saying, that you have got the customer 360 degree, and then you run analytics on top of that, you get the insight and all those things, and now it should be at the right hand, so that he can, while interacting with the customer, he can have the insight. So now, basically, those kind of customer insight systems are coming into place. So in tablets or mobile phones, actually, the RM can carry, okay, or while doing any kind of interaction with the customer, or even the call center people. Some of the, definitely you cannot give all the insights to all call center people, but there is a limitation. But those kind of systems are already now coming up. Okay. So I know some of the banks, so they already
Yeah.
have those kind of systems in place, which can be taken in a even in a tablet or a this thing, and while talking to the customer only, they know the different
Yeah.
parameters of the customer.
Yeah, so circling back to the main question, I think Koushik asked about the risk appetite of taking, risk appetite of the bank in this area. So I think all these application that we just talked about requires some infrastructure, I'll say, because for example, let's take an example of cloud system. So I think I remember like few years ago, around 4 to 5 years ago, when I was also entering in the industry. So I was, taking help with the cloud was very, what do you can say, a very scary thing for a compliance team and regulatory team as well. So they were struggling with that how the data will be stored and whether it should be whether it will be secured or not. So there's so many things. But now I think the more the enhanced security features from the vendors have also come in, and AWS, they have directly collaborated with some biggest bank also. So they are developing that thing personally with them, and also stitching specific features for them as well, like a personal cloud also. So I think the risk-taking appetite have increased over time, over the years now. And now, as we see the relevant potential of that investment in these infrastructure, banks have increased their risk appetite because they're seeing the value that they're getting in return. So I think Koushik, over the 5 to 6 years that I have seen in the industry, that the risk appetite has been gone too far, and now we have different hands in the bank. So right now, the bank is not only having internal house team that do everything, but we have lots of hand from fintechs, lots of from the network analytics that we have, social network analysis we have, and various vendors are also coming in, and also other industries are also coming with the bank to just I said before about the telecom data coming in, travel e-com data coming in. So the obviously the risk appetite have increased over time, and I think we have more to go in this area.
Sure. And there are a couple of interesting questions that our live viewers have been posting. So I might just take some of them,
Yeah.
and so I tried to. So I think what theme is coming out from some of the questions that I can hear from all the viewers are, how from your experience, you are the industry really people who are taking this technology or deploying this technology day in day out in industry, what is it that, and how do you really measure your performance? That's one of the theme that is coming out. How do you measure? Do you use simple tool? Do you use complex algorithms? And how do you make sure that this is going to work for the bank? I think that's, if at all I combine a couple of questions, so that's an open to all. If at all from your experience, if you can let let the viewers know.
Okay. So it is. So if I could understand the question, well, it is on the model performance or the.
I think it's more on the model performance. It's more on the.
Okay. So yeah. So definitely.
More on the performance as of the questions also. Sorry.
Okay. So yeah. So yeah, of course. So you run all kind of validation metrics before you deploy anything on the production, right? But at the end of the day, you also have to cognizant of the fact is your production systems are all a different kind of animal altogether than your whatever pre-production and those systems. So whatever data you may bring from the production of whatever you may do, your production system always behaves differently than your all other systems. Okay, so that is the reality of the life. So you have to be cognizant of the fact that whatever may be the performance or the accuracy, precision, recall, these things you are getting during model building and training and kind of thing, that may differ a little bit while it goes into that. So that's not a surprise, and you do it. The thing is that again it depends on like case to case, use case to use case. So probably for some of the use cases, probably 70% accuracy, 70% of the performance is enough for that particular use case. But for some, okay, probably you may go beyond 90. Okay, so now this is a trade-off that we'll have to see, and I'm sure I don't. There's no direct answer to this. I think, but
actually,
yes, you can.
Yeah. So actually, let me extend that answer. Let me extrapolate into the business side also, because the viewer also must have a business equipment, business lens also to see that. Because let me take an example of model having an accuracy of 80%. Okay, that's okay till the model building stage and the deployment stage. But how business see this evaluation of the model would be if that model is showing 80% accuracy, and if it is costing me around 100 rupees and I can generate 110 rupees for it. So the 10 rupees increment, whether the 10 rupees is equivalent to the investment that I have done in building the model. So that you have to understand, because suppose if you are targeting 100 customers and generating value of 110 rupees, so the major metric that I will evaluate that model in terms of business would be that if I can, reduce the targeting customer of 100, the same amount of 110 rupees, can I generate with 80 customers targeting? Yes or no? So that's the major question business asks for the modelers. That's how we also have to see from the business side, because what we see that most data scientists are rarely interested, rarely interested in the business outcome. They're mostly interested in the accuracy of the model. So if they see that the recall is coming is more than 65 and the accuracy is 85%, that's okay. I built the model, I have won it. But that's not the, that's not the end of the story. That's the start of the story, because now that model is going to the production, whether we actually see the value of that model, or are we generating enough revenue from that model by investing those resources. So that's how we see the evaluation of model in banking. So I'll just give you a very quick example, because I think we have very less time now and a lot of questions. So suppose you have built a model for customer contact center to reduce the calls, but by building the model, if the customer was, if a associate was taking 100 calls per day, and finding out and taking 100 calls per day for 100 customers and giving the value of 100 rupees. Now, can we reduce those calls so that customer can take associate can take less calls, and generate the same output for customer care, right? So, is these type of models that have been built in are evaluated on the basis of the marginal income or marginal revenue that they are bringing into the system. Not accuracy and recall will work. That they will go both hand in hand, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Quite right.
So the business, business return of investment is differ from the accuracy kind of a thing, and it's not only the building the model. The use of the model is also very important. You build a utility, but the end users who are going to use that utility, if not aware or not fully trained on it, then maybe the performance decreases. Although your model accuracy from your side is working fine, but what happened, the person who are going to use it, either he or she is not aware of it, or has a very less visibility on it. So it's for the business perspective, we not only think about the model accuracy, what the model you have built, but also how easy and easy for end users to use that model. That is also very important.
Yeah. Yeah, Koushik. Another question, Koushik, we have.
Yeah, and I think you rightly. Yeah. So sorry. Yeah. So I think
I can see some. I
you
can see
rightly.
some question on the screen.
Yes, so one of them is I was about to pick up about is no how are we using in the fraud detection. I think we touched upon it a little bit some time back, but maybe good to really
Yeah.
pick it up.
Yeah,
how we are using it.
let me give you a live case. Right? Let me give you a live example that I have worked on the fraud detection. A very basic example for credit card. So the use case was, the most of the customers in India, what they do is they apply for credit card and they use the credit card within 1 or 2 months, and they takes all the limit and they go away and they never pays. So these are the pure intent to fraud. So this what we say. What we say in the banking terms is called the first party fraud, that the customer is the same customer who wants the card and the same customer who had applied for the card from his own ID. So that's the first party one. Okay. So this is called, we also say it's type of application. The fraud has happened at the application time. We would have, known that customer is the fraud customer beforehand, before giving the card to the customer. So that was the application. So how ML and AI prevented that, and what we had done, that we have built a model, and it was the advanced statistics model based on the XGBoost technology technique. And for the data science interest, I will not go much detail because we have less time. So what we did is we modeled that on around 400 variables, and we had a platform on the cloud that actually assisted us to do this in a very less time, because this is a very critical project, because preventing fraud will always come with a very short deadline, because the fraud continues happening. Fraud will not wait for you to build the model for the next 2-3 months. Correct, right? The customers will keep on increasing. We have to build these models right away within a very stipulated timelines. That's why we require some resources and computational power to handle these much variables. So we captured around more than 400 variables there, and we used the technology, and we actually built the model which can predict the fraud at the time of when the customer sends the application to gain the card, to apply for the card. So right now, what we can do is we have the capability to right away flag the customer, to raise the flag that this customer is a potential fraud customer. So please go and check the documents properly, and the fraud team or the monitoring team will assess the document twice, thrice, and also go for a field verification. So that's how we are trying to prevent the fraud. And on the business point of time, business side, for the evaluation purpose, what we see as a value is, if we can prevent that fraud happening. Suppose the customer is taking away 10 lakhs of rupees, and we can give around 50,000 to prevent this fraud by manually checking document, and also going for a field verification check, and also bringing more documents. So that also a cost for a bank actually. So if I'm spending a very less amount to prevent the lakhs of fraud, that I will do it. And that's how these ML models will help us do that. So mostly the question I can see is, what kind of fraud detection techniques are being used? So to answer it properly in a technical way, random forests are also used, anomaly detections are directly used, Gaussian anomaly detection we also have XGBoost models to prevent that thing. So anything that captures more of a recall value, if you see on the technical side, you will see that these techniques are used for fraud. Yeah.
So actually, see, this fraud, I mean, this question is a very versatile kind of a question.
Yeah.
So fraud is not only restricted to just your credit card application or transactions or something like that. So yeah, so it is basically, so think of the AML cases, anti-money laundering, okay, or any kind of terrorist funding, or any kind of illegal activities and all those things. Okay, so wherein your networks, the network diagram and all those things will come. So where from the money, illegitimate resources are getting into the legitimate banking system, and how it is flowing across, and then again accumulating somewhere, going cross border. Okay, for any kind of terrorist funding or kind of. So these are also fraud. But yeah, what Kunal was telling was a classic example. And it was mainly those kind of models are already there in most of the banks today for credit card or any transaction related things, to flag that whether if there is a, so these are mostly anomaly detection kind of a thing. Okay, so there are different categories of that. So here it is mainly anomaly detection, but there is this the fraud area itself is a huge
Very huge.
area and
Yeah.
diversified area, and these fraud stars
Correct.
are also evolving. They are also becoming more and more smarter, and
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
data
So
scientists are also becoming. So it's a very big.
yeah, so
Mhm.
that's a very huge area because that's what I just narrated about the first party fraud. So now we have second party, third party fraud as well. We have technology fraud as well. There are so many types of fraud. That's a very huge area. I just gave an example for that. Also, the neural networks are clearly
and it's a
helping in terms of network.
it's a industry, and
Yeah,
today nobody is
It's
doing
an industry
this
in itself.
doing
yeah.
Exactly.
exactly. It's a $1 trillion industry, and nobody is doing it
So
for fun.
yeah, and
Okay,
very
so it's the
interesting
organized
fact.
Yeah.
crime.
Yeah, very interesting fact I want to
Yes.
share about this fraud models. What do you think? The fraudster are also learning about the models, so they can find a hack of the model as well. So they know that these models,
Correct.
because their frauds are getting caught day by day. So they will learn that method of the model, that what model is exactly are doing. Unknowingly they know that something is happening on the bank side because they know that these are fraud. So they will find another technique and we have to retrain
And
that
if
model again. So there is a
and
war,
if
tug of war between the fraudster and the model now.
I
so
mean,
data
like,
poisoning, which is happening, and
Data
most of
poisoning,
these things
exactly. Yes.
are which are being carried out mostly from the dark web today. Okay, so this people are sitting at dark web, so they are basically doing that. So if they somehow get any kind of access to your this thing, then they will do a soft killing. Okay, so they will do a data poisoning, and whatever model you write, it will start giving wrong and wrong and wrong and wrong kind of predictions. Okay, so this is a slow poison to kill the performance of your model and your business and your everything.
Yeah.
So these techniques are nowadays very very this thing, and these are brilliant people actually, although notorious, but brilliant people sitting at uh, dark web and doing those kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why, like,
Yeah.
the
And
output
just
of a machine learning algorithm or a data science question is actually a probability, not actually a surety.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
True.
And like here,
yeah,
in the
and
initial part of the discussion, we were asked a question like which technology we were going to mostly use in future or in the near future. So, and I would like to bring up that point with the blockchain, where we can definitely use that with the security of the transactions and related to fraud detection, etc.
Absolutely. And obviously, what technology is in place is that one is for, I mean, rightly said the panelists that the blockchain is there. Cloud is very important. So, cloud computing, packaging your application, how easy and difficult your application reachability is very, I mean, it's utmost important in current situation. And then you need to be well versed with whatever the advanced techniques that are coming up, whether your model is as of now worked on machine learning base, whether you need to enhance to deep learning, what additional things you need to add. So all these things you need to learn day by day. So it's a field of continuous learning, right? What you are doing, it's not be valid for like in next 6 months. You need to always evolve and change. So
You need
that's
to
my
keep up with the fraudsters technology also.
yeah,
yes.
indeed. And that's the most challenging part, I think, and I think that's why most of the technologies as well as evolving. So yeah, the last question maybe for today is flashing on the screen. So yeah, if I
Yeah,
can
so
please
yeah,
request
I want to take
Rahul.
yeah, I want to take. Yes, many companies actually have this GDPR data governance kind of a thing, and they are doing a lot of things, um, you know, under the GDPR department they have in the bank itself. If I give you example, taking customer consent, whether they can use the data for analytical processes, it's also very important. And that's sooner or later, it's in, I mean, generally that is, they are famous in European unions, that they are very strict, but sooner and later it's going to become back come to the India as well, where it's, I mean, customer, you give a customer control whether my data would be used for the analytics purpose or any other purposes. In trade off, what you can do, you can give a customer that, okay, in a trade off we will provide you a added value added things, right? Whether the offers, latest offer, or latest information what banks is going to launch in the future, so you can avail these kind of things. And how you handle your data within your organization, whether it's a lake, whether it's a mart, all those kind of things. So obviously if you go and see pan card, okay, so let's suppose I am working on a pan kind of a thing. I know the rules and regulations, what are the valid pan cards, what are not valid pan cards, kind of a thing. And over here you can leverage AI and ML, to create automatic rules out of it. So if I give you a very good example, if you on any data set you put decision tree, okay, it generally overfits, but it actually gives you all the right rules, okay, basis on data, if you have a labeled data in place, right? So it gives you a right rule, okay, this is a valid combination of the card, this is not a valid combination of the card. It's very hard, to identify all these from manual inspection. So you can go ahead and leverage all these things, the AI and ML in the field of data governance as well. So it's also a very interesting field for AI and ML to leverage it.
So any previously production regulations for that matter. So it is not a written in stone kind of a thing. Okay, so once written and okay, you keep on following this. So these things also needs to evolve. Okay, probably in Europe it is they have already got a GDPR, and then they are also revisiting it again. So I think already there is a lighter version of GDPR similar to GDPR, which has been worked upon in India. It is not yet
Yeah,
public, but
DVP.
it is
Yeah,
already right.
yeah,
Exactly.
it's a data protection
So
bill is already in place actually.
correct, correct. But the thing is that so probably what we'll see very strict and relevant today. Okay, tomorrow maybe we'll have again and we'll have to relook into that and see and bring modifications. For example, so I'm giving you some example. So if we are very strict on sharing any kind of data to any kind of AI models, okay, so then how can we expect that AI models will know your preferences, know your likings, know your things? How it will give you personalized recommendations? Okay, if you are not ready to share anything to them, it is as good as your personal assistant, right? Your personal
Yeah,
assistant, human assistant. If you don't give him or her your preferences and all those things, how he or she will be able to work efficiently for you? It is the same. So that trade-off needs to be decided. And I think a country like India is good at adopting this kind of thing. So maybe they are slow, okay, but they will come up with something which is actually a decent kind of a thing, okay, which is not very strict at the same time, which is not very vulnerable also. Okay, so that also we need to
Yeah,
see, and it will
correct.
come. So that is my wish, and that is my what do you call thought process of suggestion probably on the any kind of privacy protection regulations that may come in India sooner or later.
Indeed. Yeah,
Mm.
to fully agree with the comments and the views as well. So with this, would we like to wrap up, Ion? How would you want to?
Yeah, sure. So I hope that
That's a
we
very lively discussion, and thank you very much for a very active participation. Hi, Ion, over to you.
yeah, thank you, Koushik sir. Thank you. Thanks to
Thank you,
Rahul sir,
thanks everyone.
Thank
Utpal
you.
sir,
Thank you. Thank you.
and
Thank you
Koushik
so
sir
much.
Thanks,
Thank
thanks
you.
everyone.
for
Bye bye.
supporting.
Thank you for inviting. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye. Thank you for
Bye.
inviting. Bye bye.